So Texas introduced a bill that would allow property owners to shoot down drones over their properties. I'm going to say some stuff that the drone community is not going to like. So buckle in. There are so many bad, ill thought out bills that are hitting the legislation at the state level and as well as at the federal level. They're trying to pass something. Something is inevitably going to get passed. What it is, we don't know yet, but everybody is up in arms and super defensive about it. And rightfully so, because legislators are quite frankly stupid. They're essentially elected by people who think they know what they're talking about, that get paid to pretend they know what they're talking about, and to write laws based off of these things that they know nothing about, that they have to pretend that they know something about. Obviously, I'm not a big friend of the government. So then you get bills like this Texas bill to shoot down drones over private property. And the drone community is in an absolute panic over this bill. Because, well, what if somebody decides they see a drone up in the air and then they shoot towards their neighbor's house? Or what if somebody sees a plane up in the sky several 100,000 feet and then somebody says, oh, it's a drone, and then shoots a rifle at it? What are they going to do? Okay, so I want to clarify a couple of things in this bill before I get into the merits of it. So first of all, what the bill actually states is that a Texas property owner can shoot down a drone that is flying over their property if certain conditions are met. Those conditions have to be that the person who's firing the gun can safely and legally fire that gun, that the person firing the gun can legally own and possess that gun, and that doing so would not put anything or anyone in any danger. We all need to understand the FAA is the one that controls the airspace. We can argue about who gave a bureaucracy the authority to own the entirety of the airspace across the world, but for now, and how it's going to continue being done for the foreseeable future, the FAA is the only entity that controls airspace. So for now, we can stow all the panic and all the hysteria about, well, what if my next door neighbor sees what he thinks is a drone and then shoots through my window? That's already illegal. Every city and every town in the state of Texas has an ordinance that illegalizes its citizens from firing firearms within the city limits. There's also a couple of other laws on the books that don't allow people to fire firearms in a way where the projectile or the projectiles crosses your neighbor's boundary line. So for now, can we please stow the panic so that we can have an actual meaningful conversation? Now, let's discuss some of the issues at hand here. So first of all, according to the bill, there are no set definitions. The bill doesn't define how high up the drone has to be away from your property. The bill also does not define any action that the drone has to be taking. It doesn't have to define anything at all. It just says you can shoot down a drone that's flying over your property, which I don't need to say is horrible. I don't think this bill is designed to pass. Let's just say that's how horrible this bill is. With that in mind, I would like to present arguments for the pro shooting down of drones side of the debate, because I am a drone owner, but I'm also a property owner. The state of Texas is a border state. Disregarding what anybody's opinion is on said border policies, there's an issue with the cartel of our neighboring country that are funneling and trafficking humans, even children. They're using empty acreage to do so. Well, the problem is, first of all, besides the trafficking aspect of it, the problem is that this action is trespassing on other people's properties when they're doing this, and a lot of the times they're using drones to surveil. I live in a rural area. I can't tell you how many of my friends and even some of my family have called me up and said, hey, there's a drone scaring my cattle, flying around my fences. What should I do? Like, these things do happen. The cartel are using drones to check for weak spots within your property boundaries. They're checking for access points. They are startling cattle But these things are happening, and they need to be dealt with. Hypothetically, I don't think that it's right that if a drone was hovering in front of my face, being a complete nuisance, that I legally couldn't stick my hand out and create a barrier for the drone, because if I interrupted that drone's flight, then the full weight of the FAA would come bearing down on me with a fine of $100,000 and several years of prison time. Let's admit that the FAA treating drones in flight as if it was a passenger airplane is completely ridiculous. And something really needs to change about that, because there is a very, and I mean a distinctly and unapologetically clear difference between a little flying machine and what amounts to a bus in the air carrying people. So as both a drone owner and a property owner, I am not 100% against this bill. However, I do have suggestions to make this bill a little bit more palatable. For starters, we could say something like the drone is disrupting or hovering within a certain yardage or footage from a house or a place of residence or anywhere where operations on the property are happening, or is showing any other signs of surveillance activity, then and only then can the drone be shot down. That would protect real estate agents and drone pilots that are hired by real estate agents from losing their property. This would also protect farmers who use drones from an angry neighbor who just doesn't like the fact that you have a drone. So, in short, I do think property owners should have the legal protection to be able to take care of their property against drones that are acting in bad faith without the threat of years of imprisonment and hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of fines. However, drone pilots also need to be able to fly safe when performing things like property mapping, real estate, etc., etc. These pilots need to be able to fly their drones safely in and around their properties or around their job sites without the threat of some angry neighbor shooting their property down. So, everybody, cool your britches, sit down, take a breath, sleep on it, think about it. I'm losing daylight, so bye.